Rebel salute, rebel salute, rebel salute, rebel salute, salute everyone. This is Kenya Revolutionary, aka the Pontifex Maximus. How is everybody feeling today? I just want to stay here for a minute. I won't be long today. I will be very brief, very brief. If you want to join me in this discussion, there's the link. I have the link there. There's a link. Copy it. It's in the chat. If you're on YouTube, you can see it on your chat. If you're on X, you can see it there on the screen. So just copy it and just join the discussion if you want to join. You don't have to. I'll be here rambling, waffling, and agitating for whatever is going on today. I'll just freestyle. I'll be very brief today. I'll be less animated. I'm animated. Sorry, I have kinywaji here. This is Coca-Cola. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, let's get started. The topic today is the devaluation of the Kenyan shilling against the US dollar. And also in some other news, CJ, Chief Justice Koome, is an adjudicated lunatic, an absolute idiot. What this lady is doing, I don't know who really picked her to become the Chief Justice, but this lady needs to be stepped down and find something else to do with her life. This is a joke. It's a travesty to the justice system, okay, to the judiciary, okay? Kenyans need to speak up against this lady. This lady is out of hand. She is advocating for the idea of getting rid of life sentences. She said that 30 years max is what people should, one should be, how long the maximum somebody can get. No. CJ Koome, you are the one who will put you there and put you for life imprisonment. And if you keep on advocating for this nonsense that you're advocating for, we should hang you. CJ Koome, Chief Justice Koome, is out of order. Out of order. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, let's start by discussing this whole idea of the Kenyan shilling losing its worth. What do you call it? The currency losing its power. What do you call it? I'm looking for a word. Look, the purchasing power. It's losing its whatever against the dollar. Now, a lot of people are blaming Ruto for this, okay? Lots of people right now, especially the opposition side. And the economists also, the people who follow economy very closely, say that Ruto is responsible for this shilling losing its power against the dollar. That is not the case. That is not the case. I will explain to you what is happening, okay? Now, remember, Thuge, the head of CBK, Commercial Bank of Kenya, I told you, Commercial Bank of Kenya is an independent bank. This bank cannot be audited by the legislative body, okay? Which is a red flag, number one, okay? Most people think if it's an independent body, that means they can do whatever they want, and we can't audit them and see what comes in and what goes out, okay? Usually they just tell us, okay, this money came from China, for the case of SGR or whatever the case, okay? It went to the treasury, okay, the consolidated fund, and left, okay? But what I want to what I want to impress upon you today is that the CBK of Kenya, it's an independent body. We don't know who's the shareholders, okay? That's why I usually say most of the commercial banks in the world are foreign banks. A perfect example is the Federal Reserve in the United States. The Federal Reserve is a private bank. It's not a national bank. The shareholders are actually foreigners. Same things. That's why you see a lot of countries such as Russia, all these BRIC nations, they're trying to break away from this idea of having central bank. Okay? They don't like this idea of having a bank which is independent of the state, which means the state cannot audit it or have a say on how they conduct their business. That's why most countries want to go to the idea of having a national bank where we, the people, can audit the bank. Where we can say, hey, if we think that this bank is lending money to people we shouldn't be lending money to, let's open up the books. As it stands right now, nobody can tell Tuge to open the books on central bank and see how things are going. Going back to the dollar, the shilling, the Kenyan shilling, losing its whatever to the dollar. Okay. Listen, I would like to give you an advice. This is a free advice to anyone who cares to want to find out about this. Okay, just go, even on YouTube. You don't even have to read about this. You know, nowadays you can go Wikipedia, YouTube, whatever. Type IMF Structural Adjustment Program. Research on people who have written papers about this IMF Structural Adjustment Program. Part of the deal where you are under structural adjustment program is you have to devalue your currency. Why does the US, because IMF, listen, IMF and World Bank is basically a US bank, is a US organization. Yes, I know the history about it. You think it's a UN, whatever. Basically, these are US corporations, and it gets deeper than that. I won't walk you through that because the deeper it goes, you'll start thinking, oh, you're on some conspiracy theorist bullcrap, okay? But here's what I'll tell you, okay? IMF, World Bank, USAID, these are institutions that were built. We call them Brentwood institutions, whatever. These institutions were started by corporations, were usurped by this corporation, multinational corporations, okay? Again, I go back to the Vanguard, the BlackRock. These are the guys who actually ran this World Bank, IMF, okay? So what happens is this, okay? What happens is this. Now that there's a lot of skirmishes around the world, there's a lot of unrest across the nation. We know about the war in Iraq, war in Ukraine, now Israel and Palestinians. And who is starting these wars? It's the same corporations that actually run these governments, okay? The United States government is being run by a corporation, okay? It is a corporation, actually, if you look at it. It's not a government of the people. No. It's the corporation. But anyway, I digress. Let me take you back to where I'm going with this, okay? Why the Kenyan shilling is losing its power against the dollar, okay? When these guys give you the loans, which they know you will not pay, okay, because they know your leaders are corrupt, your leaders will become multi-billionaires, dollar billionaires, okay? But in return, they'll charge the taxpayers, okay, which has a lower GDP like Kenya, okay, to try to pay off these loans, which they know they won't, okay? These loans, if you are to repay them, because first of all, these loans are odious debts. They are acquired illegally, if you look at the Constitution. But the IMF knows that. They don't care. They give you the loan anyway. And once you sign up on those loans and you can't pay them, they put you under what they call structural adjustment program. And part of this structural adjustment program is they will determine basically take over your economy. They'll determine what cash crop you should be growing, what exports, okay, what you should be exporting to, and to what countries, and what corporations you will be doing business with. They will initiate these economic free zones like we have in Kenya that we have just last year, okay? That is part of the package. And another part of the package is this. You have to agree to devalue your currency against the dollar. Did you hear what I just said? You have to devalue your currency against the dollar. Why? Because they want you to be dependent on the dollar. Like I said, I've been preaching here. I've been waxing lyrical about this. The dollar has no value. Yes, they call it a reserve bank, the reserve currency, but it is backed by nothing. Nixon in 1971 stopped the dollar from being backed by the gold. It used to be the dollar used to be backed by gold, the gold standard. The US dollar got off the gold standard in 1971. Okay? So how have they maintained to have a lot of influence to be the reserve currency of the world? They decided that any transaction of oil, the most used commodity in the world, shall be traded in dollars. And how else do they manage to keep most of the countries to trade in dollars? They use the military industrial complex, these wars. That's why you see the CIA has been busy across the world, you know, working on coup d'etats to install their puppets that will be forced to use the dollar. Remember, the reason why Saddam Hussein was taken out is because Saddam Hussein decided that he will not sell his oil in dollars, and they brought it up. Gaddafi said that he will not sell his oil in dollar. He wanted to start his own African currency that will be backed by gold. And guess what? Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama went ahead and took him out. Okay? So, just research. I know you might say that, hey, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Go see countries that are under SAPS, Structural Adjustment Program by IMF, are usually forced to devalue their currency against the dollar. For example, Ghana, Nigeria, what's other country? They're both under Structural Adjustment Program. Go, just type on YouTube, you'll see this. Okay, these are the kind of recommendation that IMF tell you. They're actually not recommendation. They actually tell you that that's what's up. Why do you think Tinubu is in power? Tinubu is in power because he's been installed there by the West. He never won the elections. Okay, so same thing. Let's go back to Kenya. We are talking about Kenya now. Why do you think Uhuru Kenyatta won the elections in 2013? Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto. They were backed by the West. Part of the deal before they even ran for presidency, because remember, they were not supposed to run for presidency in 2013 because of Chapter 6. They could not pass Chapter 6. Okay? Because they have these serious crimes against humanity. Okay? War crimes. Okay? But in order for them to run, there was some masharti that were put in place. They were told, hey, if you do this, when you become the president, this is what you have to do. Remember, Devin D told us that Kenya was under Structural Adjustment Program. It started under Uhuru Kenyatta, not Ruto. That's why I usually tell you, this is a continuation of Uhuru Kenyatta's administration. We just changed into a Kalenjin face. But the policies are the same. Okay? And you ask yourself, that's why you ask yourself, why is it so, right now we have so much privatization of every facet of the economy, most of the facets of the economy. Okay? When it's housing or whatever, they're privatizing everything. Why? Because these corporations that have been recommended by the IMF to take over some facets of this economy as part of the Structural Adjustment Program. That's why you had Ruto assented to that bill, Privatization Act bill. I told you in that book where I told you the Confession of an Economic Hitman, this guy who worked for CIA, who actually negotiated these terms, loan terms for countries. He writes in the book, please guys, do your research. Before you call somebody whatever theorist, conspiracy theorist, do your own research. This guy wrote in his book, he said it, he confessed. This is what they did. They took over the economy of these countries. If the president did not align to the proposal that the IMF put forth, they would organize a coup d'etat against that president. If they did not organize a coup d'etat, they would either assassinate that president or bring in the military to take him out. And he gave example of the countries that he personally worked on, including Chile with Pinochet. That's how they got Allende out. Okay? And many others. Iran, before the Shah came in. This is still going on today. It's a global network of leaders that have been handpicked by the global elites to carry out this. And Kenya is no exception. Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta before him are part of this global elite. Few countries have managed to stay out of this cobweb of global elites. Okay? That's why I keep on saying Ruto knows the game. He understands very well. So to pin the blame on Ruto, saying that he's the reason why the Kenyan shilling is losing its power against the dollar, is inaccurate. You can't really blame him. He has no choice. When he signed on to those loans, he tied the nation. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I want us to be vigilant. Let's use information. Because you know what? You cannot free yourself if you don't have the information. The new neo-colonial rule is not where they physically chain you and force you to work for them for free. No. This is giving you independence, but they will still control your economy. They will control what you do in your land. They will control how you run your banks, how you run your books, what you plant, your food, all that. Italy, let's just, another news that I just see. Italy, the lady from Italy, what's her name? The prime minister from Italy just announced that they are rejecting the genetically modified meat that Bill Gates is trying to sell to them. They've banned it from Italy. Every GMO is banned. So kudos to the prime minister of Italy. In Russia, they already banned every GMO. Russia does not accept any GMO. In fact, if you're caught with GMO, you will do time. Because it has implications not only for your health, but even for the soil, your food production. Okay? They want to control every facet of your economy. How much you produce, what you produce, when you produce it, how you produce it, for how much, and to whom do you exchange your money and food with. That's the new neo-colonial rule that is being conducted globally. So Ruto is no exception. So when I hear people here talk about, oh, the dollar is, I don't know what, the Kenyan shillings is losing. Yes, they want you to devalue your money so it becomes worthless. And guess what? When your money becomes worthless, you will depend on the dollar. Another reason why they're doing that is because the BRIC nations, the BRICS nation, remember? The non-alliance nation, BRICS nation, they are introducing a new currency this November that will be backed by gold. What are the BRIC nations? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, among other countries that have lined up to join the BRICS nation. They are introducing a currency that is backed by gold, that is going to be used worldwide. That's why you see China and Russia has been in Africa mining gold, taking it back to their country, because they want to go back to the gold standard because the US dollar is not backed by anything. So if they start this currency that is backed by gold, guess what? Every country, most of the country in the world shall dump the dollar and the dollar shall fall in value. It's already falling in value. That's why you see Iran and other countries, Saudi Arabia, other countries are dumping. They don't want to deal. They want to, even China is dumping the dollar because it is worthless, as I've said. Okay? That's why the United States, through IMF and World Bank, these corporations that run this nation, they're telling poor countries in Africa and in South America, forcing them to devalue their currency so that their people can use the US dollar, because they know BRICS are about to introduce their currency that will be backed by gold, back to the gold standard as it was before Nixon got off the gold standard. Okay? So that is a ploy, because war is an extension of politics. Politics is an extension of economy. Okay? That's why you hear Russia. Listen, this is a global fight. It's a global tussle between these superpowers. And these little countries are getting the, worst end, the short end of the war. Okay? Putin knows he was attacked. Okay, when they were tussling over Ukraine, remember what Putin said. He went and said, I don't have to fight France. France is part of NATO. Okay, NATO was fighting Russians. So Putin said this, you know what? I'm playing chess right now. So Putin said, remember the quote? He said, I don't have to fight France. All I have to do is to empower the Francophone nation, the French-speaking African countries, and France will crumble like a rotten fruit. Because he knows France depends on these African countries. As we speak right now, so as the British. As we speak right now, the French and the British warships are in Ivory Coast right now, trying to get that Traore guy out from Burkina Faso. Because remember, once Burkina Faso took over power, Ibrahim Traore took over power, he told the French, he kicked out the French and the Americans and the English, and then he took control of the uranium, and he said, you know what? You guys have to buy the uranium from me now. And he raised the price of uranium, okay? Taking control of the resources of the country. And the French are not happy about that. So they are planning on removing him. But he's been backed by the Russians, the Wagner group, the Russian mercenaries. Okay? So there's going to be war in West Africa pretty soon. Brace yourselves. So Putin is playing chess. He knows Europe, most of these NATO nations, with the exception of maybe Germany. Okay? Germany is the only country that actually can survive, doesn't need Africa's resources to survive. Though they need like gas. Remember, Germany was getting its gas from Russia. But when the war started, now they started looking at Africa. Okay? Remember that? Okay. So that's what Putin is doing. He's saying, you know what? You guys want to fight me? Okay, this is what I'll do. I will hit you where it hurts. I'm going to empower those Africans so you don't have to. You will have no resources. Okay? Because Europe was built. European industrial revolution happened because of Africa, whether it was manpower or natural resources that they still depend on to this day. I'm going off topic. But just to wrap up on this topic, you saw when there was that Berlin conference, is it in 1895, when the German chancellor called upon all the countries in Europe to see how they will divide up Africa so they can colonize it. The one country that refused to do that was Russia. Russia said, no, we are not going to take part in colonizing Africa. If, in fact, Russia was the only European country that helped to liberate Africa. Russia has always stood with Africa against the colonizers. Okay? That's why you see Putin in 1970s was in Angola and in Tanzania training the Mkoto Sizwe of South Africa, training the Michel, what's his name? The Angolan president that was killed in that flight. I forgot his name. Okay? Train Zimbabwean forces with Mugabe. So Putin has always been a friend of Africa against the European colonization and imperialism. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Ruto is not to blame for this Kenyan shilling losing its value against the US dollar. Ruto, I told you, is a puppet, is a colonial stooge that was put there to carry out the Western policies in Africa. This was done. This started under Uhuru Kenyatta, the most useless president in the history of humanity. Ruto is just doing what his colonial masters are telling him. And it will not get better. It will get worse. There's no alternative. The alternative is for us, we, the Kenyan people, to stand up and take out Ruto through the parliament. Well, we can't do through the parliament because the parliament is already compromised. We cannot look at the opposition, Raila Odinga and his minions, because he is also a colonial puppet, control opposition. So we have to build up our own revolutionary movement from grassroots. Okay? But we have to unite first. We need to unite under one goal, one interest. And that is to liberate ourselves economically from these colonial stooges. C.S. Koome, just to wrap up with her, you can see this nonsensical ideas she's coming with. This is a Chief Justice. Like I said, she's an adjudicated lunatic. She was put there by the British people. Remember when the debate about the finance bill was heating up, and Megan Whitman, the US ambassador to Kenya, actually made it very clear that she was supporting this finance bill. A finance bill that was against the will of the people. Okay? Of course, it was going to fail in the judiciary system because the judiciary arm of the government of Kenya is controlled by the West. All the facets, all the branches of power in Kenya, whether it's the executive, the legislative body, or the judiciary, both and all are under the control of the Western powers, the global elites. You just saw Selassie taking a picture in, was it in Monaco, somewhere in Europe? He's enjoying life. You know, he's enjoying life. So just picture this. Someone like Selassie. If Meg Whitman came to Selassie and told you, hey, Selassie, whatever his name is, I want to build an Amazon factory in Kakamega, where his constituency is. And I'll be paying your workers less than $1 a month or a day. No healthcare, no nothing. They'll be working overtime. You know, somebody like Selassie will just say yes because he doesn't know better. Okay? And that's what's happening. This is what is happening globally. That's why you wonder why there's a lot of incompetent lawmakers in the legislative arm of government. It is for this precise reason. They choose useful idiots so that when they ask them what to do, they will acquiesce without running any question. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, it's been 30 minutes. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, my name is right there. Kenya Revolutionary. Find me on YouTube. Subscribe, share, like, comment, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings.